1,000 YouTube subs. So, want to help us out with that? Really appreciate it. Just takes a moment to subscribe. It's free. It lets you guys follow more great StarCraft 2 content. Obviously, if you really want to go ahead and support further WardiTV tournaments as well, definitely check out the WardiTV Patreon or the WardiTV 2025 tournament series crowdfunder. !mark 2025 in YouTube or Twitch chat to find the link to that. We are crowdfunding prize money for WardiTV tournaments this year to try and push them to another level and to try and help support the players as best we can with as many tournaments as possible to play in, as many good tournaments as possible to play in where they can justify playing their putting their time in, putting the work in, and giving us some great games. So check out all of that, but I don't want to spend too long selling out because what I do want to do is to truly get into this best of 3, which is already starting up in the top right with our red Protoss player here. This is herO. And he takes on, in the bottom left, Reynor here in the GSL qualifiers. So again, this is no longer a question of qualifying. Both these guys won their matches, which qualified them to GSL. What this bracket is now is a seeding bracket. So the winner of this, I believe this was the lower bracket of the seeding bracket, I believe. I'm not sure. But basically, TLDR, I think this is the case that the winner of this starts in Group Stage 2, aka round of 8 of the GSL. And the loser starts in Group Stage 1, aka round of 12. So you basically get to skip an entire group stage by winning this series. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. But they'll both be in GSL, that is a guarantee. It's just a question of who starts a round further ahead. Obviously, GSL groups ain't easy, so again, to kind of bypass a round is a pretty huge factor. That's a pretty big positive, to say the least. Overlord coming across, probe moving down the right side, Nexus, Cybercore, panel on the simulator, all coming up, all getting settled in for the moment. As we just take a few moments to get up and running here. Hatchery and the spawning pool coming together as well, so just get all of that up and online. And we follow this probe because that's likely going to be the most interesting point of this over the next few moments as we kind of step through and look to, well, for the moment, apparently just block the base. Just isn't much else really going on around the map currently, so we just sit back, we take a few moments, we sit and wait for things to come about. Drone just come down there to make that hatchery, but obviously is not able to do so because there is a little probe in the way, so he will pull back up to the top side instead. You have the Adept taking the role of the probe now in terms of scouting. He's going to come straight through and start hitting the drone for a couple of moments. So a few shots coming in straight away. Again, Link Speed Queen coming up. Stargate about to finish up from here in the main base. The Adept will go down to the bottom left. So a couple of Adepts just on the move around for the moment. Getting set up right now. Link Speed coming in. Queen on the way. Drones and Links coming about. The extra drones dropping by as the hatchery sets up on the third base location. And again, a couple of Queens and the Adepts continue to come through. Oracle will continue to chrono boost around, so it's going to be seeing the Warp Gate coming up, Link Speed coming through, extra Queens, Lings, drones continue to come by. The Adepts are going to shade into this mineral line around the back. The Zerglings are going to gather together there as well. It's going to be one Adept going down, make that 2 Adepts. The drones continue to gather up also. And again, more drones on the way through as the Zerglings of Reynor head onto the map once again. Oracle will activate and a couple of those Lings already begin to drop, so damage being done immediately here. As again, the Oracle is in production, the Warp Gate in production as well. Nexus building, a couple of probes on the way. That Nexus is actually going to get jumped on. A few Zerglings here are going to get a little bit of a wraparound, put some damage onto it. We actually get cancel on this Nexus. Wow, he will. So he cancels the third Nexus with very minimal effort, a handful of Zerglings. But super exciting, obviously, as we saw earlier, a great example of just how good herO can be with those, aggressive units, how much harassment he can put on, how much pressure he can apply. This is going to be a really great question now of, how well can Reynor do at denying that? And what does herO's game look like when, when or if somebody is able to truly shut down the aggression he is typically bringing to the table early? Because it's so weak, because like I say, so much of herO's PvZ lately has been like, hey, look, herO's a freaking great player, and he puts on so much pressure, he puts himself naturally into an extremely strong position, and he just plays, into an amazing place from there, right? So that is, already something where it's like, we see a lot of games like that. We don't see as many games where herO gets perfectly defended or shut down hard. Right now, Reynor's doing a good job of it. He's really minimizing what these oracles can do. The adepts have not really been allowed into mineral lines either. And like I say, I feel like this is already going to start feeling like a very different vibe of PvZ, just because herO does not get away with a bunch of damage early. He doesn't have, doesn't get to look to capitalize on that into this next stage just yet. So what probably does provide detection against those stasis wards. Just going to give up one queen there to get the drones back to mining ASAP, but rather do that rather than kind of waiting for it to die. It's like a stasis ward. Obviously, attacking it while it's building does speed up the process a little bit. Another stasis ward. This is herO really just kind of testing the waters of like, hey, Reynor, make sure you keep on paying attention, buddy. It's one of those things. I think one of the first people that really did this was herO in his GSL finals against Rogue. He was the kind of guy who would come in, stasis, and as soon as the stasis got denied, he'd stasis again. And it's the sort of thing which was like, oh, you'd think it's like, well, why would you stasis twice in the same place? And it's because all the Zergs assume, why would you stasis twice in the same place? And in that series, it was very effective against Rogue, who all of a sudden was like, haha, dealt with the stasis, busy, go around everywhere else. And then the second stasis hits, and Rogue's like, what the hell, bro? You stasis in the same place like 2 seconds later. How was I meant to know? Because on the mini-map, the Oracle was still there. Because of course it was. He just tried to stasis, so it wasn't anything weird. I remember that was a really cool kind of takeaway from that Creator Rogue best of 7. Even if that one didn't go the way of Creator. And it's definitely a cool idea and like a little bit of a different approach with the stasis wards then from what we'd been seeing for a while. That wasn't quite the same because that was herO literally just sitting there with 2 oracles and constantly stasis warding, but kind of reminded me of that aspect as a little revelation comes down. A couple of these creep tumors getting cleaned out. That's really nice from herO, and he takes shots on the oracle to be able to do that, but he just really values trying to slow down some of this creep spread out the front. So just trying to force more queen energy to go into that, and that means less transfusions available later. As herO will start to move forward with Stalkers with Blink finishing. Behind this, the Temple Archives coming online and an extra Stargate and Fleet Beacon immediately. So herO just says, cool, let's accelerate this through to a little bit of a later stage of the game, right? Let's just get this moving along to kind of the next step here. And let's see what we can do from that as the Stalkers and the Adepts step forward. A couple of these Queens already taking damage. The Lings will step forward as well. Stalkers and Adepts together going to hit against those Zergons. Be pulling back. A few more Lings going down. Again, charge and the Zealot warping in. A few additional probes coming out as well. We are killing probes on the other side as a Ling run by has been successful. The Adepts get in for a few drones, so both players are taking damage on both sides of the map. So credit to Reynor for finding a few probes during this, and herO the one that's actually taking a little bit more damage. So he will sit here and get rid of a few more drones. Will the Lings be able to jump on these Stalkers? The Oracle energy is kind of low, no? So there's not a lot of Oracle energy available. Okay, there's another Oracle showing up. That will look a lot better, but these Stalkers getting caught in a little bit of an odd spot, and Reynor getting a cleanup on the Stalkers, shoving those back and making this a much more comfortable situation for him. That's going to start looking a whole lot better for him very soon as the Lings come across. The extra Zealots and the High Templars warping in. Storm and the Charge coming up as well. Look, then coming through, the extra drones coming about, Storm on the way, Charge on the way. That Forge coming through from herO, so just going to bring that online as the Stalkers are going to blink in after a couple of those Lings as well. So a couple of those Lings getting chased, the Ling Hydra back around into the center, the Oracle still patrolling back and forth, another Oracle going to fly overhead too, as the Hydras are also going to join up underneath and continue to move across that right-hand side. Things actually jump to the top side, going to go straight after the Nexus, so Nexus is going to go down. And obviously just going to commit to that. There's much more value in canceling a Nexus than trying to save a couple of these workers. Sorry, a couple of those Lings, so he does get that. Obviously, Hydra's out for him. Drop Lords were just building. How does he utilize these? Been using these a lot in this game. Love that. herO sees it straight away. Revelates them to keep an eye on them for a little while longer. Trying to make this dive on the 5th base worthwhile. He turns with the Zealots to hit the Lings. I'm trying to figure out whether he actually had a realistic chance of getting that base if he just stayed on it. Probably not. I think it's better for him to get the feelings, because this base isn't even mining yet anyway. And he just saw the drop lord, which suggests that Reynor kind of wants to be aggressive. And if Reynor wants to be aggressive, it's probably better for herO to, instead of trying to kill off a 5th hatch not currently in use, to whittle down some of the unit numbers, right? By whittling down those unit numbers, you give yourself a much better opportunity to kind of survive through and to get to the next stage of this. 7 lurkers will begin to morph in. The +2 melee upgrade coming about as well. Drop lords moving over. Stalkers and the High Templars coming up as well here currently. And yeah, Zerglings coming around the left side. A creep tumor will continue to spread on forward. And a few of the Hydras and the Queens will also make their way around into the center for now as well. They're forced to blink back. The High Templars are going to come through. Another couple of storms coming about here. Those lurkers still being chased away as the storm comes down once again. A couple of storms coming straight in. Hydra's taking shots. The lurkers will be coming about also right now. We'll continue to make our way about. Just going to be seeing the Tempests firing a few more hits. The lurkers are going to get stormed once again. Stasis going to catch a few of those Zerglings. Another group of lurkers going to try and step over as well. On the top side, a lot more of those Zealots going to come in as a defense. So, I mean, Reynor distracting over there. He's getting a few probes. Is he making significant progress against the army? I mean, obviously the lurkers are in a good spot, but the Tempest count is good. And if herO can start to knock down these lurkers, I mean, this is a lot of what Reynor has right now. So if these lurkers fall, then herO, then where is Reynor really at? Because lurkers are meant to kind of be good in numbers, but if you're rebuilding like 3 or 4 lurkers at a time and that's all you've got, I don't know how much I really love that for you, right? As we are going to be seeing herO able to push this away. Wasn't cheap, wasn't easy, because he lost a good few units in that process. The lurkers were in a good position, and Reynor is already up to the 12 o'clock, hitting a run-by with the Zerglings, and that is very nice. He gets a bunch of probes out of that, and that does offset herO's work count a little bit, and he does lose 2 of the Oracles flying overhead on the Hydras, maybe a 3rd, but the Hydras don't see the opportunity to turn around for that grab. So herO gets away with keeping that other Oracle alive, which is important because if more lurkers come on the field, Revelations are so important. Revelations are so good at keeping you full of information, keeping your eyes on the prize, and being able to keep detection on those lurkers reliably. You know, you can't remove a Revelation once it's placed. So that detection lasts the entirety of a fight, which is very important because that means you're guaranteed to see those lurkers if you commit into them, unlike if your observer gets picked off middle of the fight and so on, right? It's a little bit less reliable overall, so something to think on there. Stalkers, Tempests come through. The Lings and the Hydras get pushed back. The Ling Hydra are going to turn around the other direction. A few Hydras up the left-hand side. It's going to be a Stasis Ward that's going to catch a bunch of those. Probably saves a couple of them from the Tempests, in all honesty. It also gives herO more time to reposition and maybe even take better advantage of those Hydras being caught in stasis there. Although now these Tempests are out of position. We lose one of them. Storm comes in, fending the Hydras off. One of the big things we've been seeing lately is with the Hydras, it was the Hydra Lunge has been really good at chasing down Tempests. We're not quite at that level of tech just yet for Reynor, but something to think of in the future, because obviously this is a Hydra-heavy army versus somebody which is playing with all those lurkers. Can you show the units lost? Absolutely. 15k to 10.5k. Much more efficient here out of herO, who obviously holding the 4 bases currently looks good. It's not like Reynor has been on a crazy economy throughout this, right? 75 to 70 workers-ish. You know, herO dropped down a little bit at times, but Reynor's not massively outmining him, so it does look good for herO overall, who, you know, you look at this and there's a lot more tech loss from Reynor than there has been from herO. If herO hadn't lost the Oracles somewhat haphazardly, that would have been even more one-sided in terms of the gas lost in this game. Yeah, imagine he hadn't lost those Oracles, because again, I think at least 2 of those Oracles could have easily been saved. That was just a misplay from herO, not paying attention, clicks them into the Hydras. These High Templars are going to go down, so that's going to be a nice little bit of gas grab from Reynor as well. This is still mostly just a Ling Hydra army. I mean, it is a Ling Hydra army. 70 Lings, 20 plus Hydras in the game. That's all we're really working with here from Reynor. But is that enough to actually fight this force full of Storms, High Templars, Tempests, Archons? I mean, the tech really feels like it's there. Reynor knows it, I think, because he's going to focus on the counterattacks and trying to move away from a lot of the, the bigger fights across the map. This counterattack does okay. Obviously grabs a good chunk of units here initially, so a good few going down right off the bat. In the center, we're actually going to recall some units back home and just guarantee we're not going to run into too much trouble. That's what Reynor wants to do. Force recalls, force moments like this where herO kind of messes up on the recall and loses a few units, leaves these units split apart. Reynor's advantage right now is split, speed, kind of fast armies counterattacking. Those are the things that will go very well for you. Those are the things that are very effective. As 8 additional lurkers come through, 4 more Vipers on the way. A whole lot more Zerglings being produced as well. 14 probes dead currently. As you see the Tempest stepping forward, the Overlord going down. A couple more of those drones getting picked away at. 3, 4 workers getting nabbed for now. 7, 8 drones going down. The Hatcher going to take some damage. Just going to see the Stalkers coming back around with those Archons. A lot of drones going down. The Ling run by once again. Reynor's basically like, hey, herO, please go back home and defend. And he was like, no. How about you defend this. You defend this big army, and I'll worry about a few probes going down at home with some Zealot Ropers. I mean, Reynor just keeps counterattacking. He knows he can't fight this army. He's known that for a while. That's why he's been so focused on always having a counterattack ready and trying to force herO to pull back. And it was working for a while, but herO has just gotten to this point where he's like, nope, I don't respect you anymore. I understand what is happening. I know what you're trying to do, and I'm just not going to let it keep happening. Now, he is going to lose the 4th base. The main base under attack as well. The Zealots there should play cleanup. The only thing herO has to be careful of now is not to lose too much army, right? They both killed bases. So if you take one bad fight here as herO, it's going to be really bad because there's not a lot of rebuild available. However, herO knows that his army is better, so he really has to really heavily mess up the fight for that to be the case. I mean, because the same is true for Reynor. Whoever wins this next fight wins this game. But herO has the odds stacked in his favor going into this fight. And that's the important part of this, is we are going to be seeing a storm coming down, those lings, these oracles. Could do with dropping a real revelation on some of those lurkers, maybe. They just got pulled away. That was a little sloppy from herO. Now as the revelation drops, the Tempest will start to get some free pickings. And Reynor says GG. He's not going to stick around any longer here on ley lines for herO to bully his army around and all the rest of that sort of a situation, you know. So, yeah. Alright, let's go into game number 2 here, guys. As we have in the top right-hand corner, the red Protoss player is going to be herO. As we get into this best of 3. Game number 2. Thanks for joining us today as we just throw out some GSL qualifier action. And, yeah, of course, we're going to be, like I say, not going to be here the next couple of days as well, guys, but I will be back on Monday with WardiTV Mondays. And we'll be, obviously, running some stuff next week as well. So Tuesday through Sunday, we should have even more StarCraft 2 available for you guys. So, yeah, look to StarCraft 2 coming up, basically, as the TLDR. And look forward to sharing all of that with you guys as well. Should be a good time. Game number 2 of this best of 3 series. Overlord from Reynor starting to get out into the center. Obviously, herO takes the lead in map 1. Reynor did have a better early game than a lot of the Zergs we see against herO, right? He did not really take a ton of damage. What didn't go quite so well was some of the pushes then started to go a little bit towards herO's favor. Definitely was able to trade well in a lot of those as well. Let's just see our Nexus and the Hatch Gas Pool coming through. That's where that game first started to take a little bit of a turn as we get into, like I say, this game 2 of the series. I actually do wonder a little bit what herO Reynor's all-time results are against each other. It's one of those ones that might be a bit skewed because obviously they've played probably so much over so many different metas and so many different kind of periods of StarCraft where they've both been at different levels of dominance. Let's have a little peek. Yeah, so herO is 14-10 all-time in matches against Reynor. Lost to Reynor the last time they met in the Leo League Cup. Beat him in the Masters Coliseum. When so he lost the most recent meeting, but then before that he won 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, including the eSports World Cup, right? So a couple of times there, that was 2-0, 3-0. So especially in more recent kind of history and memory. In fact, a lot of Reynor's wins came much earlier in kind of their meetings. herO's been much more dominant against Reynor kind of the last year or two. Kind of since herO's kind of post-military. It's kind of a wild result. It's kind of a wild start. It's not easily done. As you see, this Adept is going to come shading outwards, so Adept going to shade out onto the map. Link speed coming up, Overlord and the Hatchery both coming in. As we make our way through, a couple of Lings are going to come about here from Reynor as well. Adept gets turned around. Queen will be there to push the Adept away. Stalker, Oracle, Wolfgate all coming in. Queen's and the Link speed coming up as well. Stalker just going to go pinging there as the Overlord takes some damage. Yeah, Queens and drones coming about. Hatchery dropping into place. Stalker still going to sit there for this Overlord when it gets high ground vision again. Obviously the Oracle is on the way over to provide exactly that. Yeah, Overlord is going to go down. Hatchery's still building. A couple Overlords and the Queen coming through. We have ourselves the Adept moving up to that top side. Next is going to drop straight down there. We put a pylon down as well. A couple of Adepts just going to gather up together for the moment. Queen's Overlords and drones very much so on the way out currently. The Zerglings gather together. Twilight Council next is building too. And a lot of that just continues to come straight up and online. So yeah, this gateway morphs into a warp gate. And extra gateways. The Twilight Council coming into play. The Oracles of herO still heading down to the bottom left. Those Oracles just going to activate onto a couple of the creep tumors. We get in here for another drone. This drone building on the hatchery going to go down as well, so that's going to be another kill. And we're just going to be seeing the next drone also taking some pretty heavy damage on the egg. It's going to be cancelled too, so herO taking what he can get. It's a vast difference, though, from what we see from herO a lot of the time in PvZ. Because it's here against Reynor. Against Reynor here, he's settling for, like, cancelling a drone building. Whereas against the other Zergs, he's like, oh, cool, 4, 5, 6 drones right now. It's kind of crazy, just the difference that early game makes, and herO just able to manipulate positions so frequently is something good. Like here, he is going to get through for what should have been a lot more work than it was. He only gets one, and that's on herO Miss Micron. Does not get the Oracles to sync up their shots, and that makes it a little bit more difficult to capitalize on, and that does go a little bit wrong for him. As the Resonating Glaive starts up as well. Forge also coming through here from herO. A couple of Oracles are going to make their way out down the bottom side, and the Lings are going to go across. Like I say, it's Glaives on the way. We saw Reynor deal with this once against Zaun earlier today already, so obviously very capable of doing that, but let's see if we can get the information and get the fights he's looking for. Is that melee upgrade again? When he played against Zaun, I said this typically trends towards the Resonating Glaives play a favor, and I would stand by that statement. Glaives against melee upgraded Lings are still going to go the favor of the Glaives, especially because melee upgrade is not going to be done for a while. One of the big differences, though, is herO's already going to be on the map, so he's going to be arriving as Glaives is finishing, whereas Zaun really took a long time to get the Adept shaded onto the map. So herO will arrive much sooner, which gives you less time to get Roaches prepped as Reynor, and these Adepts are going to show up straight onto the third base, and that's an issue because a lot of the Lings are threatening the counterattack, so the Lings that are here are not exactly going to have the best of times. The Lings are going to run to the third, and there's nothing there defensively. The Oracles have given up on that defense, expecting Reynor just to be pulling back to play defense himself. The Adepts warp in, though. 5 probes going down. We've not killed any drones yet, just denied mining off the third base. The first Roaches showing up. It is still lost mining time for Reynor, though, so keep that in mind as the Adepts get through for a few more Zerglings already. 5 probes going down, a few drones on the other side. The Lings are going to keep on nibbling up against the Stalkers there for a couple more moments. An Adept warp in, going to try and stop these Lings from leaking through. And we will get rid of a bunch more Zerglings there as well. They all go down. So Reynor's not going to do well in the counterattack, and over here, he is finally losing drones as the Adepts got through for Workers on the main, Workers in the natural. The Adepts will go down. Down 30 workers. Reynor is droning, which is not exactly ideal. Because you're basically saying, hey, look, I'm going to drone, and if I'm just going to drone, then you're going to try and play the longer game. But trying to play the longer game from down 20 plus workers is obviously not ideal. Obviously, if you're kind of going across the army, like if you're down 30 workers and you build army and you go and counterattack, I believe there's an opportunity, right? I believe there's a chance that you can make something happen. The way that this is going right now, I do not quite believe in the same way. Those Adepts are going to go shading. They are going to go setting through the melee upgrade about to finish. The Adepts going to continue to shade by. Lings Roach is still gathering up. The Adepts going to hit here. A couple of cancels on those drones as well. As again, herO has been very good at continuing to apply pressure and bring the fight to Reynor throughout this game. I mean, this hatchery just goes down. Reynor doesn't really have much to fight this right now. Like I say, he chose to build drones, which means he doesn't have units. Stasis is going to be good as well, no? With Roaches, some some drones, sorry. And it looks like herO will have Reynor's number on this one as... Yep, I mean, to be fair, I think coming into this, you have to still favor herO. The way he's been playing lately, the consistency he's playing at, against a Reynor who I think is still ramping up. And the best part about Reynor is that when he plays in events like this, I mean, obviously this is a GSL qualifier, but as it gets close to eSports World Cup, Reynor is going to get better and better. The more big events there are, the better shape Reynor gets into, and the better shape he maintains. The better form he is able to kind of bring to events. So I'd actually be fascinated to see if Reynor and herO play in the main GSL, like, you know, in a week, 2 weeks time maybe, because this would mean that herO gets to start in group stage 2, so we won't see him this week, but maybe next week. If herO or Reynor played again, I'd love to see the progress that Reynor makes in the matchup by then, because I really do feel like Reynor will continue to ramp up in level. And it'll be fun to see how quickly he might be able to try and catch that kind of level of herO here in the coming months. Maybe not even in GSL necessarily, but obviously we've got a lot of bigger tournaments coming up where they might start meeting and clashing against each other, so... Depth Stalkers and the Oracles make their way along. A couple of those Lings get chased away. Just going to be seeing the Lings going to continue to get shut down, and herO will continue to advance on forward as this hatchery is going to get jumped on, and I don't think this is an army that you ever really clean up as Reynor. He is going to try get some Banelings on the field. He's got Baneling speed coming up as well, so, you know, I'm going to give it a good go. I'm going to give it an attempt. But I gotta say that I think, I mean, with the Banelings, maybe if you get some very good Baneling connections, there's always going to be something of a possibility, right? There's always going to be something of a chance that may not exist otherwise, so I'm for it. I'm all about it. It's going to see the Roaches, Lings, and Queens gathering up. Plus team melee, Baneling speed, Roach speed as well, Ling Ravager on the way. So Archon Oracle gathers up. The rest of the Stalkers in the top left-hand side going to gather as well. We get a Nexus building in the top left corner for now. Still got Ling, Roach, Ravager, Queen gathering on the left side as the Zard Stalker starts to chase forward. A couple of Corrosive Bars going to keep the Zards and Stalkers pinned back a little bit though instead. Going to see our Stalkers still trying to push through. The Queen already in the front taking a little bit of damage. Archon's mixed into this as well. Can Reynor find a defense? He's about to have Baneling speed. Once he has that, that might help. The Adept shading over here, and the Banes will be able to clash through to help clean up the Adepts at least, but then the Roach Ravager is meant to be holding its own over on the left-hand side at the same time, and I think it's fair to say that that's not really happening. I mean, herO will stop to target down the hatchery and then blink away, which gives the Lings a chance to catch. Obviously, now off creep will be a little bit of a slower chase from Reynor, but supply-wise is looking better than it has done. I mean, not enough Stalkers here to keep trading against those Roaches and Ravagers. It's the Archons are the real issue. Bulky units, the splash damage adds up quickly against Lings, against Roaches as well even. I mean, I like that we get 15 more Banes on the way. Still think some good Baneling connections could be the secret to success if there is a way back in for Reynor. His army supply looks fine, but he's trailing in upgrades. He's definitely trailing in tech. I think Reynor's moment and window is in the next minute or two. And one of the issues for Reynor is he's going to have to waste time killing this top left base. I don't even know if herO should really fight this. He sees the Banes, I think he won't. I think for herO, Reynor killing this base is just going to give herO time to get more units set up to defend the bases which really matter. He already sent the Stalkers across the map, so he's going to put Reynor back down to 3 bases himself, so that's going to be great, and you could recall them back up to the top if you need them here. As the Bears go charging into Banelings is not really an advised decision. Believe it or not, those Banelings are heckin' scary. There's the Stalker recall. Actually got the 3rd base as well, by the way, with the Stalkers, so he's going to knock Reynor down to 2 bases. Reynor 100% all in here, and herO just needs to find a defense. Let's see what the Banes can do. Stage Sword doesn't do much. The Archons are swinging, though, man. The Banes, they got rid of a bit of stack defense, but they mostly did nothing, and the Archons are still pretty healthy. Now it's Ling Ravager. Stalker's going to blink away from a Corrosive Battle on the top side of this fight. The Ravager's still trying to push on through. The Archon's turn to fight again. herO's supply definitely taking a trend in the better direction. The thing is, herO's Warpins are going to go a long way as well. That's a nice catch for the Lings. Again, a bit of a surround. A few of the Stalkers going down. More Zealots warping off to the left-hand side. And units are going to collapse in from 2 different sides now. Again, because Reynor's only on 2 bases, there's not a serious amount of reinforcements coming through. And that does mean that GG gets called and herO will take the 2.